Hey guys, this is Vikash for Skyline Motions, and in today's tutorial I am going to show you how to create this very simple looking text animation inside of DaVinci Resolve 16 without using any third-party plugins. So let's take a new project and get started. Alright, so click on this new project and let's call it text and click on create. And we have to do some basic settings, so click on this setting button and set the size of this project 1920 by 1080 and let's go with 30 frame per second and set this playback frame rate 30 and click on save. And now let's import an image file that we want to use as a background. So go to media pool, right click on that, click on import media and select your image file. So in this case, I'm using this image that I have downloaded from pixabay.com and I have given a link in the description. So go to the link and download this image if you want and click on open and drag this image on this timeline. And as you can see, it has a different size proportion. So let's fit this image. So go to inspector window and set this zoom value 1.2 and hit enter. And now it's looking perfect. And then right click on this image and let's convert it into a compound clip. So click on this new compound clip and let's call it image and click on create. Let's remove this from the timeline. And now let's create 5-second long text animation inside of this Fusion tab. So we have to take a new Fusion composition first. So go to media pool, right click on that, click on new Fusion composition and let's call it Fusion comp and set it 5-second long, frame rate 30 and click on create. And now drag this Fusion comp on this timeline and then go to your Fusion tab. And here we have our media out. So just drag this media out to the side for now and click on this single viewer and let's import a brush stroke PNG file. So go to media pool, right click on that, click on import media. And in this case, I'm using this brush stroke PNG file that I have given a link in the description. So go to the link and download this brush stroke PNG file and click on open. And drag this brush on this flow window and close this media pool. And select this media and hit F2 on the keyboard to rename and let's call it brush. Hit OK and drag this brush to the viewer and click on this background button and add a background node. Hit F2 on the keyboard to rename and let's call it busy. Hit OK and let's take a merge node and connect this yellow background point with this background and green foreground point with this brush and drag this merge one to the viewer. And click on fit button and increase the size of this flow window and right click on this flow window, go to arrange tool and check this option to grid. And as you know, it will help you to keep this node clean and organized. All right, and now select this background and pick a different color for now. So I'm going to use this white color and just select this brush and add a transform node over here and select this transform and go to this inspector window and uncheck this box and use this X size and Y size separately and set the size like that and set this brush over here. And now let's create a duplicate of this brush. So select this transform one, hit Ctrl C to copy and paste another copy of this and connect the output of this brush with this transform and take another merge and connect this yellow background point with this merge one and green foreground point with this and drag this merge two to the viewer and select this second transform and just drag it down and rotate it by 180 degree and set this brush stroke over here like that. And let's take one more copy, hit Ctrl V to paste and connect the output of this brush with this transform and take another merge and connect this yellow point with this merge 2 and green point with this and drag it to the viewer. And now select this transform 3 and just drag it down and place it like that. All right, and now let's make this background transparent. So select this background and pick this black color and set this alpha value 0 and make it transparent. All right, and as you can see, it's looking perfect. And now select all these nodes, hit Ctrl C to copy and Let's create another copy of this. So hit Ctrl V on the keyboard to paste another copy, place it like that. And now select this node, hit Ctrl Z to create a group and select this, hit F2 on the keyboard and let's call it brushes. Hit OK. And now let's animate these brush strokes. So select this transform one first and go to on frame number 45 and drag this merge 3 to the viewer. And now select this transform 3 and right click on center, click on animate, or you can also click on this diamond button to create a keyframe and go to very beginning of this animation and just drag this stroke outside of this frame over here maybe. And now select this transform 2 and go to 15 frame forward in time. So go to on frame number 60 and right click on center, click on animate and go to on frame number 15 maybe and just drag this over here on right hand side. And now select this last transform, go to on frame number 75 and right click on center, click on animate and go to on frame number 30 and just drag this over here. All right, and now let's play this. Alright, so as you can see, we have a very basic animation. So let's make some more interesting animation. So go to a spline window, hit F4 on the keyboard to full screen and let's minimize these transform nodes and check this transform one first and click on fit button, select this keyframe, hit S on the keyboard to smooth and go to one very beginning of this animation and create a nice smooth curves. And now check this second one and uncheck this first and click on fit button, select this keyframe, hit S on the keyboard and hold this handle and create a curve like that. All right, and now uncheck this second and check this last transform and click on fit button, select these keyframes, hit S on the keyboard to smooth and go to on frame number 30 maybe and hold this handle and set it like that. Alright, and hit F4 on the keyboard to exit and close this spline window and go to very beginning and let's play this again. Alright, and as you can see, it's looking much more better. And now let's create a group of this. So select all these nodes, hit Ctrl Z to create a group, hit F2 on the keyboard to rename and let's call it strokes. Hit enter. And now let's merge these both brushes and strokes. So take a merge node and connect this yellow background point with this brushes and green foreground point with this strokes. Alright, and drag this merge 4 to the viewer. Now I want to put this animated stroke inside of this brushes layer. So select this merge 4 and go to the inspector window and change this operator over to in. Alright, and now let's play this again. And as you can see, we have a stroke animation, something like that. And now let's fill a nice color on it. So take a background node, hit F2 on the keyboard to rename and let's call it color. Hit OK and take a merge node and connect this yellow point with this merge 5 and connect this green point with this color and drag this merge 5 to the viewer and select this color and change this type solid color to gradient and pick a nice gradient color. So pick this point and pick this yellow color maybe and pick this point and pick a red color. All right, and now set this gradient point over here like that. And now I want to put this color inside of this strokes. So select this merge 5 and go to this operator and change this over to in. And now let's add a transform after this merge 5. So select this and click on this transform button, drag this transform to the viewer and let's down the size a bit and set this brush stroke in center over here. And now I want to create a rectangular stroke shape. So we have to take a new background node. So click on this background, hit F2 on the keyboard to rename and let's call it stroke. Hit enter and place it over here and select this stroke, hit Ctrl plus a space bar for search box and search for paint node. So this is our paint node, hit add button and select this paint and let's call it paint. All right, and take a merge node and connect this yellow point with this transform and green point with this paint and drag this merge 6 to the viewer. And now select this stroke and make it transparent. So go to inspector window and set this alpha value 0 and make it transparent. And now select this paint and select this polyline stroke. Right click on center, go to polyline stroke 1 polyline and go to create and create a rectangle and hit OK. Go to brush control first and click on this square and close this apply control and open this stroke control and let's animate this right on. So as you can see, a stroke a starting point over here. So I want to put this starting point in this corner. So set this angle value 180 and hit enter. All right, and it's looking perfect. And now let's increase the size of this and set this square like that. And set this brush size 0.008 maybe. All right, and it's looking perfect. Now I want to animate this stroke. So go to on frame number 120, which is equal to 4 seconds according to 30 FPS, and right click on int, click on animate and right click on start and click on animate and go to on frame number 15 maybe and set this int value 0.6, hit enter and set this start value 0.6 and hit enter. And as you can see, we have a very basic and weird animation. So go to a spline window and hit F4 again to full screen and click on fit button and uncheck these strokes and check this paint node only and click on fit button again and select all these keyframe, hit S on the keyboard to smooth and go to on frame number 15 at a starting point and hold this handle and create a nice smooth curve and hold this handle also and set it like that. All right, and now hit F4 to exit and close this spline window. And now let's play this again. Alright, so it's looking nice and now I want to place this part of this rectangular stroke behind this brush stroke. So I'm gonna reverse this connection. So just deattach this connections and connect this yellow point with this paintbrush and connect this green point with this transform. And now I want to create one more copy of this paint node. So select these stroke and paint both node and hit Ctrl C to copy and paste another copy over here and take another merge and connect this yellow point with this merge 6 and connect this green point with this and now drag this to the viewer. And as you can see, first copy of this rectangular stroke is behind this brush stroke and another copy is over on this brush stroke. So hit Ctrl Z to go back and now I want to cut this area of this rectangular shape. So we have to take a new polygon tool, place it over here and create a polygon over here on this section. And now let's attach this polygon with this paint one. So connect this blue point with this polygon. All right, and now select this polygon and click on invert. And now select this paint and go to modifier and let's down the size of this little bit. So I'm going to set this value 0.006 maybe and hit enter. And now select this first paint node and set this value 0.006 and hit enter. And now it's looking perfect. All right. And now let's create a drop shadow effect over here. So select these node, drag it over here and let's add a drop shadow node over here. So hit Ctrl plus a space bar for search box and search for drop shadow. So this is a drop shadow, hit add button, hold shift and attach this drop shadow over here and let's do some setting for this drop shadow. So select this drop shadow node and set this blur value 0 and set this drop distance 0.01, hit enter and shadow strength, put this value 0.2 maybe and hit enter, and set this blur value 0.3 and hit enter, and it's looking nice. All right, and now let's create a text node. So click on this text button and place it over here, and let's merge this text. So take a merge node and connect this yellow point with this merge 7 and connect this green point with this text 1 and drag this merge 8 to the viewer and select this text 1, and let's type a text whatever you want to type. So I'm typing title animation tutorial and select your favorite font style. So in this case I'm using this Century Gothic font style, which is my favorite font style, and of course you can choose any different font style that you want. And now right click on that and click on character label styling and go to modifier and select all these text, hold control, let's increase the size of this text something like that, and now select this title only and just set this value 0.115 and hit enter, and set it to regular and select this tutorial only and set this bold to regular. All right, and now select all this text and go to this transform and change this character to lines and set this line spacing 0.75 and hit enter. All right, so as you can see it's looking something like this. And now let's add a drop shadow effect for this text. So select this drop shadow node, hit Ctrl C to copy and paste another copy over here by hitting Ctrl V, hold shift and attach this drop shadow for this text over here. All right, and now let's animate this text. So go to on frame number 120, which is equal to 4 seconds, and select this text 1 and go to text, right click on end, click on animate and go to on frame number 30 maybe, which is equal to 1 second, and set this end value 0. All right, and as you can see it's looking something like this. And now let's import this image compound clip on this flow window and close this media pool and hit F2 on the keyboard to rename, and let's call it image, hit enter, and now drag this image to the viewer and select this image and add a color corrector node with this, drag this color corrector to the viewer and let's down the saturation value 0 and make it pure black and white and set this gain value something around 0.3 and hit enter. And now let's add a scale animation on it. So select this color corrector and add a transform node and drag this transform to the viewer and go to the end of this animation, right click on sides, click on animate and go to very beginning of this animation and set this a scale value 1.2 and hit enter. And now we have a scale animation like that. And now let's add another scale animation for this title animation. So select this merge 8 and click on this transform button to add a transform node, drag this transform to the viewer and go to the end of this animation and set this size value 0.9 and hit enter and click on fit button and right click on size, click on animate and go to very beginning of this animation and set this to default. And let's merge these both outputs. So take a merge node and connect this yellow point with this transform 3 and green point with this transform 4 and drag this merge 9 to the viewer. All right, and finally we have to connect media out with this main output. So connect this merge 9 with this media out and then go to your edit tab, and as you can see our text animation is ready for render. So close this inspector window and let's increase the size of this and click on this loop button, go to very beginning of this animation and let's have a look. Alright guys, so it's looking awesome and that's all for this tutorial. I hope you like it. If you like it, then hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon to get notified when I will upload my new video, and I will see you in next tutorial. Till then, bye bye.